The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar, 21 Genius Facebook Advertising Tips to Try in 21. We're so excited to have you join us today and hear some expert Facebook advertising tips. WordStream has partnered with Lookalikes to deliver results-focused, technology-backed marketing services to help local businesses unlock measurable business growth. Before we get started, just a few logistics. We are recording the webinar and you can expect the recording and slides to your inbox in the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll also have time for questions at the end, so feel free to submit them throughout the presentation in the chat section. Without further ado, I'll pass things off to our presenter.
Cool. So my name is Gordon Donnelly. I've been at WordStream for going on 4 years now, primarily working as an SEO on the organic side, but also sort of the in-house guru on Facebook advertising, Google advertising. Also, my not so humble brag of the day, I was voted most influential by PPC Hero in the industry for PPC experts. So I feel like I am the right person to be giving you guys this content today, so I'm excited to get into it. So Facebook advertising can be overwhelming. We know this for small businesses. But there's a ton of opportunity on the platform. There are 2.7 billion members worldwide. The platform accrues over 22 billion ad clicks per year. That is a ton of advertising revenue on Facebook. It's really a good driver of revenue and leads for a lot of SMBs like yourselves. It's also can be pretty cost efficient as a platform, which makes it a great platform for SMBs. And the level of granularity that you can get with the targeting, Facebook's targeting capabilities is really strong. And that's something that you use in the absence of having, the luxury of keyword targeting that you would get on Google Ads or the search network. You're able to instead target people on Facebook via their third-party segments and remarketing and a bunch of stuff that we're going to get into. So some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to start with analytics just because I feel like it's one of the most important components of having a good Facebook advertising strategy. Then we're going to get into targeting. I'd say that's top 1 or 2 on my list of things. In terms of importance, really big proponent of targeting. We're going to talk about some account structure best practices. We're going to talk about a bunch of ad types, kind of run through them so you guys can pick and choose and see which ones are the best for you. And we're also going to get into some vertical specific tips. So we'll talk about things on the B2B side, the B2B side, and a number of verticals and niches under those umbrellas. Cool, so let's dive into it. So the first tip we have today, we're going to start with the first few on analytics and just the things that you need to do to set your account up so you have sort of a solid foundation of analytics and tracking. Which is really vital, in my opinion, before you do anything on the account side. Before you even spend $1 in advertising, you need to have your analytics set up so you can track things and optimize and know what's working and what's not. So the first component, obviously, a lot of you guys probably know this, of getting tracking set up on Facebook is installing the pixel. So the pixel is sort of your control center, and from the pixel comes conversion tracking on one side. And it also comes audience building. So this is where you create your remarketing audiences. It's where you track all of your conversion events. So it's really a pivotal thing to get on your site. Depending upon which content management system you use, whether it's Shopify or BigCommerce or WordPress, you can look into your documentation and see what they recommend for setting up the pixel. You can see on the bottom right here, this is a screenshot from BigCommerce. They just have this really easy field where you can go in and install the pixel ID. And that allows you, if you're using BigCommerce, and Shopify has a similar field, that you can track shopping data and e-commerce, and it pulls in revenue tracking really easily. For other users of other CMSs like WordPress and other things, I really recommend using Tag Manager. So essentially here, you're just putting the Tag Manager container snippet in the head section of all the pages on your site. And from there, you can sort of control all of your events and control the various triggers on your site. And we'll get into why that's so important in shortly here, right now, actually. So event tracking is sort of the second component of tracking performance on Facebook. And again, I really can't stress this enough, but Google Tag Manager makes it so easy for SMBs and for people that don't really have development shops per se, or can't really place codes on various event actions. Tag Manager makes it really easy to do that. So tracking events isn't going to be necessary if you're using an objective like lead generation or post engagement, where all of your measurables are taking place on the platform, right? Because you can see how many leads you're getting, you can see how much engagement you're getting. Or like I said, if you're using a CMS like a Shopify or BigCommerce, because just putting your pixel in those fields is going to bring in all that revenue data and your add to carts and your shopping behavior, et cetera. But if you're using another CMS, like most other businesses, you're going to need to create some of these event codes. And Tag Manager makes it really easy to do that. Essentially, all you're doing is you're creating a snippet within Facebook. You're transferring that snippet over to Tag Manager and adding it to a tag. And then you're just creating triggers based on the various things that people can do on your site, whether it be a form fill or a phone call or a shopping event, and you're just having that fire. And that's basically going to come back to Facebook and tell you, when a certain action occurs in your site. It's going to be able to attribute it to your campaigns, which is really vital for tracking. Another tip here, once you get into Tag Manager, make sure that when you set up these events, these custom events for these conversions, that you have the Facebook pixel fire prior to your event tags. If you don't do that, it's not gonna track properly. It's something that a lot of people miss. So just a kind of small point there to make sure you get down. Number 3, still on analytics. So we're integrating with other properties. So I want to talk about integrating your Facebook campaigns with Google Analytics and with your CRM or your customer relationship management tool. Really important step. So the first component of this is making sure your UTM codes are set, and that's going to allow you to get visibility within Google Analytics. And your UTM, you can just see in the bottom right here. Facebook allows you to, it actually is a really nifty tool within the UI that allows you to create these UTMs. So basically, you just want to put in your source there, it's Facebook, your medium as something as CPC or ads, put in your campaign name, the name of your ad content, etc. And then when you hop into the source medium report, which I included in the top right here, this is going to allow you to see your campaign level metrics. And this actually would be your channel level metrics, right? You have your Google ads, Google CPC, you have your organic at the top there, direct. And the idea here is that, yes, you can track events in Facebook, but then you can, if you have your UTM set up, you can go in and track your campaign level performance in Google Analytics as well. And the reason that's important is just because you have a second source of truth, but also when you're tracking conversions within Facebook, you have the benefit of using view through. So Facebook can track conversions that occur after impressions and not clicks. Google Analytics works on a last click model, so you're only going to get conversions based on people clicking through. But it's just important to have those two different sources so you can kind of spin an entire narrative and really get to the source of truth of your campaigns. Second component here, you want to make sure that you're tracking all the same events in analytics that you're tracking in Facebook, just so again you can have that second source of truth. I really recommend, if you're using Facebook lead ads, which I'll get into in a little bit, that you sync this up with your CRM, be it HubSpot, Salesforce, Soho. It's going to allow you to really quickly follow up with the leads that you get into your system, which is really vital. And it's also going to allow you to measure campaign level performance down to the qualified lead level, right? So you're not just measuring like cost per lead, you're measuring cost per SQL, cost per MQL, cost per sales opportunity down to the customer level. And that really allows you to get super granular and see which campaigns are working the best. Turning on affinity and demographic reporting is super vital in analytics. It's a really quick step. You're just basically going over in the left-hand nav, and you're clicking into that report, and you're turning it on. And basically, what that does is anytime someone gets to your site, it's going to cookie them, and it's going to, not every person, but most people will cookie, and you'll get their gender, their age, their interest, what existing in market audiences they fall into. And from there, you can basically go in and you can go into your source medium report and look at your Facebook traffic and say, okay, how much of this traffic is male? How much is female? What age are they? What do they like to do? And then you can use that to inform your Facebook targeting. And I'll get into a little bit more of that later in the presentation. And finally, my pro tip here is to start configuring GA4 now. So GA4 is the latest version of Google Analytics. And basically what it does is analytics and advertising is moving towards a cookieless future, or a future where it's going to be more difficult to track people and advertise to people based on cookies. And GA4 uses things like data modeling and machine learning to kind of fill in the gaps when we're not going to be able to use cookies to track people or to advertise to people. And the UX is a lot different than the current analytics. So I highly recommend, if you're using the current GA, that you switch over now. At least so you have that view set up so you can start accruing data and getting used to the UX there. All right, number 4 is remarketing. So we're getting into the targeting portion of the presentation. So I think after analytics, a lot of people like to talk about creative and the content and the story you tell is really vital. But to me, I think having the analytics set up and then getting into your targeting, to me, targeting is so important, and targeting the right people. So this is really the thing I get most excited to talk about when it comes to Facebook. So let's talk about remarketing. So remarketing is the most high intent targeting tactic that you have at your disposal on paid social media. So I talked a little about this earlier, but when you're advertising on Google Ads, you have the luxury of targeting keywords. So you know that someone is searching for your product or service. You know that they have commercial intent. You don't have that luxury on Facebook, right? You're using audience building tactics to try to target groups of people rather than a single person that's making a search. Of all those tactics that we have at our disposal, remarketing is the highest intent form of building those audiences. So it's really the best tactic that we have at our disposal to target people. And then a few of the remarketing strategies we have at our disposal, just to run through them. So you can target 30-day site traffic, making sure you're excluding converters, so people that have already converted. You can target 30-day site traffic to a specific page. You can target people that have engaged with your social media business profiles, people that have engaged with your lead ads, people that have opened your lead ads but not converted, customer lists, cart abandoners, so people that have added products to their shopping cart but not purchased, and then dynamic remarketing, which is a really great tactic for B2C advertisers that I'm going to get into shortly here. So this is sort of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to remarketing. There's really a lot you can do with it, but all these tactics basically allow you to hit people that have interacted with your site in a given way and that are inherently lower in the funnel than some of these other tactics we're going to talk about. So it's really a strong strategy. So remarketing in Facebook is done via the custom audience. So basically these two terms, custom audience and remarketing is synonymous when it comes to Facebook. So whenever you're talking about remarketing, you're talking about the custom audience. So custom audiences are created at the ad set level. Any targeting that you're doing on Facebook occurs at the ad set level. You really want to use a conversion-based objective when you're using a custom audience. The reason for that is, you don't really want to combine one of these higher intent audiences with an optimization tactic that's geared towards traffic or brand awareness or reach, because it's not going to give you the results you want. When you start combining custom audiences with lead generation or the conversions objective or catalog sales, that's when you really can start generating really good traction. So combining that right objective with the custom audience is really important there. In addition, if you're an e-commerce advertiser, you have the advantage of leveraging a value-based lookalike, and this is basically, we'll talk about lookalikes shortly. But the value-based basically allows Facebook to dig into your e-commerce data on your site and look into overall purchase volume, and then target people based upon those metrics as opposed to just updating a customer list. So it's really a way for e-commerce advertisers to target people more effectively based on value and not just emails and information like that. We'll get into that. So my last pro tip on this is make sure you're using exclusions. You want to exclude any like prospecting audiences or remarketing audiences that you're using in other ad sets. You want to be really liberal with your exclusions. And what that's going to allow you to do is basically have really siloed ad sets and audiences. So you can tell, this audience is getting me this cost per action or getting me this click-through rate, whereas this other audience is underperforming or overperforming. If you don't use exclusions, your data is going to be muddied, and you're not really going to know which audience and which ad set is really driving performance. So using those exclusions really liberally and excluding your other audiences is really going to help you keep that clean data. Number 5, dynamic remarketing. This is something I talked about a second ago. This is really the core remarketing feature for B2C advertisers. And basically what it does is a person that comes to your retail store online and looks at a pair of shoes or whatever product you're selling, that person then leaves the site, goes and does whatever, comes back to the app, is browsing, and that same shoe or that same product they're looking at pops up in their news feed, and it's the exact same product photo at the exact same price and title that they were originally looking at. So that's dynamic remarketing in a nutshell. And it's really, as I wrote here, it's a granular, highly personalized strategy that's really an out-of-the-box solution. It's not that hard to set up. The most difficult part is setting up your product catalog, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well. Really, this is a way of targeting people on a granular basis, showing them the products they've already looked at, and targeting people that haven't yet converted, so they come back and make that purchase. And just another pro tip here. So when you create your dynamic remarketing campaigns, it's going to give you an option to optimize for an event, whether it be purchases or add to carts or viewing content. What happens a lot of times with advertisers that don't have a ton of purchase volume on their store is their remarketing campaigns get stuck in the learning phase. And that's basically just Facebook's algorithm doesn't have enough purchase volume to understand who to target effectively. If that happens, that's not a big deal. It just means you don't have enough purchases. So, go to the next level below, go to add to cart or go to view content, optimize your campaigns for those events. And that's going to make it easier for the algorithm to get out of the learning phase. So you can then switch over to purchase when you have enough volume. Some more dynamic remarketing tips. So basically just, you see the UI here, or the UX, basically just allows you to target product viewers or cart abandoners. You can make a choice yourself based on a given date range. You can also break out campaigns for upselling and cross-selling. If someone sees a product, you don't necessarily want to show them that product again. You want to show them a different product or a higher price point product. You can also configure that in here as well. And I would encourage you to break out separate campaigns if you're going to do that. You can edit the headlines and descriptions. So Facebook is going to, by default, pull in the product headline and the product price as the description. It doesn't mean you have to use that. You can go in and edit that and try to make it more enticing for the user. There's no need to create new sale ads to retain engagement with dynamic remarketing. This is so if you're an e-commerce brand and you're running a lot of sales, basically if you're using static creative, you need to duplicate that ad and create a new ad in order to retain the existing engagement on that ad. If you're using dynamic remarketing, so like your comments, the likes, all the things that people look at your ad and say, wow, people have already engaged with this, I'm going to engage with this and click on it. With dynamic remarketing, you don't have to duplicate that ad, which makes it a lot easier for setup. You can just go in and add your sale copy right to the ad, which is really a great strong suit of this ad type. I like to mix in standard remarketing as well. So if you're a B2C advertiser, don't just use dynamic, use standard remarketing as well. See what gets you the best results. It's not always, just going to be one or the other. And then the final tip here is make sure you're using your catalog. And again, setting up the catalog, we'll get into it, but you want to have high res, really attractive product shots that are coming from your catalog and pulling into Facebook. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult to make the strategy work. Number 6 is lookalikes. So lookalikes are similar to remarketing. Basically, this gives you some semblance of remarketing, all the stuff we just talked about at scale. So, what'll happen as you're starting to create these remarketing audiences, 30-day site traffic or your customer list, you'll find that you're sort of you're limited in the amount of people that you're able to target, because not all those people are going to be on Facebook, and you may only have, like, let's say 3,000 site visitors in the last 30 days. That's not that many people you can target on Facebook. So it's a high intent strategy. It doesn't necessarily give you a ton of scale. Lookalikes allow you to take all of those same parameters that we just talked about that you can create custom audiences on, essentially iterate them at scale, so you can then target people that Facebook deems are similar to the people that you have on your remarketing list, or what we call a seed audience. So again, I wrote here, so basically say you have your 30-day site traffic, you have your customer list, you have the group of people that have engaged with your lead ad, you create that custom audience. From there, that's your seed audience, and you iterate at scale and create that lookalike audience. And that's going to give you a pool of, it can be anywhere between 1.5 to 2 million to even higher of people that Facebook deems are, most closely resemble the people that are on your remarketing list currently. And this is a great, I wouldn't necessarily call this a remarketing tactic, it's more of a prospecting tactic. It gives you scale, it allows you to target a bigger group of people to potentially funnel them into your remarketing campaign. But it's a really effective tactic. So we always, generally, when anything that comes to Facebook's algorithm, we want to start broad and then refine from there. Facebook has done, like Google with their SEO algorithm, Facebook has done a lot with its algorithm to try to make it work as best as possible, given your targeting parameters and your campaign objectives and everything else in play, right? So with the lookalikes, I always recommend just starting with the lookalike. Don't bother layering over any of this other detailed targeting, which I'll talk more about in the next section. But essentially, after that, after you create your lookalike, you see how it's performing. Then you can go in and layer over more detailed targeting options. And by that, I mean demographics, interests, job titles, employment status, behaviors, stuff like that. All these third-party segments that Facebook has ready to go for you. Layer those over your lookalike if you want to get more refined. And again, I always recommend, similar to our marketing, use a conversion-based objective with these lookalikes. You can use a more top-of-funnel strategy like traffic or brand awareness or reach, but it's not, it's going to allow you to achieve those goals. But at the end of the day, as marketers, we want to drive revenue, we want to drive leads, we want to drive the actions that matter to the business, and they're going to make money. So I would highly recommend you use those conversion-based objectives with lookalikes. Number 7. So let's talk about some of this detailed targeting I was talking about. So in addition to layering over lookalikes, you can also use detailed targeting on its own as a prospecting tactic. So what I mean by that is you're not trying to convert these people, be it to a lead form or to a customer. You're just trying to get people into your funnel, so you can then funnel them into your marketing campaigns and convert from there. So if you're using these detailed targeting tactics, it's great for the upper funnel. And then again, I would try to, if you're going to use these alone, I would split test these against your lookalikes to see what's performing best. It's sort of difficult for me to tell you which of these segments to target, because there are probably millions of them. But if you look at the bottom right here, this is sort of how Facebook breaks it down. So you have your behaviors, you have your interests, you have your demographics. And basically, we go to the next slide here. This is where you'll find it. So it's at the ad set level. It's going to be right below your location settings and your age targeting. So you see the detailed targeting right there. Basically, I would just encourage you to go in there and just start typing in things that are related to your business and see what comes up. See what, so again, my recommendation here is for B2B businesses. Focus on stuff like job titles and employment information. If you want to get bigger and get more scale, the interest segments generally have more scale, but generally they could bring in like slightly lower quality. If you just have that great scale out there, it's not necessarily refined. So I would just essentially play with all these third-party segments, see what works best, and always keep an eye on your estimated audience size, because you don't want to target so big that it's like you're just targeting anybody in sight. But you don't want it to be so small that your audience size is too small to work with. So try different combinations, see what works. And then my final tip here is you see the detailed targeting expansion down there. This essentially just allows you to get more scale. So if you're in a situation where you're kind of refined, your audience size is only around like 70K or 100K, you want to give Facebook more leeway to go outside those parameters and find people that could convert. Just check detailed targeting expansion, and Facebook will do that for you. I found that it can be a pretty impactful tactic. So a super important component of targeting, and I kind of spoke to this earlier, is the creation of customer personas. And I'm not really talking about like creating like in-depth customer personas, but you basically you should really just know who your ideal customer is, know what your traffic looks like, the people that convert in your site, like what do they do, are they male or female, what age are they, and you should use all those things in your Facebook targeting to really get the best results. Some of the ways I like to do this, first thing is audience insights. So basically this just leverages self-reported Facebook data to analyze some of those things I just talked about. It's in the bottom right here. So if you have that 30-day site traffic or marketing audience and you want to see what that consists of in terms of age and gender, you can go in there and see. So if it's 58% male and it's only 41% female, is that enough to make you want to break out your own campaign and start targeting men, or do you like that kind of thing? So audience insights is a good way of looking into existing Facebook audiences and seeing what they consist of demographically. A better way to do this, in my opinion, a more granular way, is to use Google Analytics. So you can leverage some of these secondary dimensions, and I included a screenshot in the top right here. Go to the source medium report, which is what I talked about earlier. You can click into your Facebook traffic, you can click into individual campaigns, and from there you can just break them out by these different things that I'm talking about. So you can see, again, what percentage is male versus female, like how old are these people that you're getting from Facebook, what device are they coming on, is it desktop or mobile, and even greater than Facebook, I would just encourage you to go back like year to date for your entire business as analytics and see like what is the average person that comes to your site, what do they look like, who is that person. You can also go ahead and create segments based on people that have purchased the most or people that have filled out forms or like your best leads, and see what do those people look like. So analytics is a really powerful tool, especially for SMBs if they know, if you know how to use it. And I would really encourage you to sort of set that up and use that to inform your targeting. Yeah. Account best practices. So let's talk about placements for a second. Let's see how I'm doing on time here. Okay. So a lot of people like to ask me about placements. There are a number of different placements you can target within the Facebook umbrella. So you have the news feeds on mobile and desktop, you have Instagram, you have the audience network, you have Messenger, stories. You can break it out by mobile versus desktop, so device. And automatic placements, which is the default setting on Facebook, used to be known by advertisers as sort of a way for Facebook to spend as much money as possible and not really care about results. But and the tendency originally was to sort of break it out by age. So if you thought you had a younger demographic on Instagram that would be interested in your product or services, you would break out an Instagram campaign. Or if you wanted to target boomers, you would focus on Facebook. Kind of like I said earlier, where like it's better to be broad on Facebook nowadays because the algorithm is so good than to be too refined. I always recommend that people use automatic placements and include all of these things. So stories, audience network, marketplace, because we're not targeting a platform, we're targeting individuals. We're trying to find the person that's going to convert, at the right time, who's in that who's in that, buying mindset, who's going to fill out that form, regardless of what platform they're on. So by, segmenting which platforms you're targeting and breaking out spend that way, you're really doing yourself a disservice, and you're not letting the Facebook algorithm do what, those developers have designed it to do. So I always encourage people to run on automatic placements. Campaign budget optimization, CBO, with ad set limits. This is another best practice I talk about. So Facebook traditionally has set budgets at the ad set level. They're moving towards all budgeting being set at the campaign level. And this has traditionally been known as CBO, or campaign budget optimization. They are phasing out ad set budgeting, so everything in the future is going to take place at the campaign level. I would encourage you, as the ahead of the curve advertiser that you are listening to this WordStream webinar, to get ahead of the curve there and switch over to campaign budget optimization now, as opposed to when you're forced to, because it's going to give you that cleaner data. It's going to allow you to, sort of be ahead of the curve, so you're not forced to later in the game. And CBO, I think it's a positive thing. It's like, some advertisers feel like it takes away control, but really all you're doing is allowing Facebook to maximize the spend that you're giving them at the campaign level. So they're going to spend how the algorithm deems is appropriate across those different ad sets and audiences based on what they think is going to give you the best results. And if you're worried that, a given ad set or audience you have is underperforming or overperforming, you can always set ad set limits. So you can still control budget at the ad set level, in a sense, by using ad set limits. So you just want to essentially cap the spend of a certain ad set there and see how that impacts performance. All right, let's get into some B2B tips. So we're going to talk about the magic of lead ads, which I'm a huge proponent of. So lead ads, if you haven't heard of them, were created to avoid sending prospects to cumbersome, non-responsive landing pages. Site speed is obviously it can be a big issue among SMBs, especially people that don't have a ton of time to spend on their site. Lead forms just make it that much easier for a person to give you their information based on your offer. They don't have to go to your website. They don't have to wait for your landing page to load. So like the potential for them bouncing is much lower. The lead form opens up right within the app. Their information all gets auto-filled. If they like what they see, they can click yes and submit. So essentially the barrier to entry here is just far lower than if you're sending someone to a landing page. The one caveat with lead ads is, quality can be lower on average further down in the funnel when it all plays out, because the barrier to entry is much lower. So if you find that, I would encourage you to split test lead ads versus landing pages, and you're going to do that by using the conversions objective rather than lead generation, and just see what works best. See what gives you the lowest cost per action. See what's giving you the best performance. And then another reason why I recommended integrating lead ads with your CRM is basically it's going to give you the ability to analyze down to the qualified lead level. So I already talked about this, but down to SQL or MQL, whether those landing page campaigns or those lead ad campaigns are giving you, not just the best cost per lead, because you're probably going to get the best cost per lead from lead ads, right? But what's giving you the best cost per SQL? Is that coming from the landing pages campaign? Like, how does the lead ad campaign stack up? So I always like to integrate the CRM so you can get that data. And then one final tip here, leveraging giveaways is a great way, like combined with lead ads, is a really good way to lower your CPA. So for instance, if we were trying to get people to register for this webinar, like aside from the great content we're giving out, if we were going to offer some sort of gift package or another resource, it's a really good way to lower your CPA there. And similarly, if you're trying to build up your e-com subscriber list, because we all know, email is one of the best ways to convert people in the retail business. You can use those giveaways to convert people at a really, really cost efficient clip. I'm talking like below $1 at times, and build up that list. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the quality pain point. So as I said, sometimes lead ads quality can be an issue. Aside from split testing and using those landing page campaigns, there are some steps you can take to increase the quality of your lead ads. So the first thing I always recommend people do is have some sort of automated nurture campaign that triggers when people get into your CRM from your lead ads. It's just going to help you qualify those people more before they talk to your sales team. Otherwise, you're going to have people in your sales team coming to me and be like, hey, why am my leads all crappy, or what's going on here? So if you have that nurture campaign, you can help weed those out. You can help, nurture those leads more. That's really a beneficial step. When you're setting up lead ads, you get to your lead form. You'll have the option to choose either high intent or high volume, what you want to optimize for. High volume is what it sounds like. It's going to try to get you the most form fills for your spend. Again, that's where quality can sometimes suffer. If you select the high intent option, it's going to take users through a second step on the form. So they have to essentially click, yes, I'm sure that I want to submit my information before they submit their information. So again, it's a way of weeding out some of those lower quality leads. I would experiment with lower funnel offers. So if you're running lead ads with a white paper, you're finding you're getting a lot of lower quality leads, try offering a demo, or try offering a sales consultation or something where the barrier to entry is a little bit higher, and it forces people to really consider, do I want to submit this lead form? Serving to refined audiences can really help. So again, if you're using some of those interest segments I talked about, or if you're using lookalikes, like you're going to be targeting a lot of people, the barrier to entry is so low that you could get some lower quality leads in there. If you're focusing just on job titles or on really refined segments, remarketing, etc., like I would encourage you to use lead ads with those strategies, because that's ensuring that the barrier to entry is low, but it's low for the people that you want it to be low for, right? So those already high quality prospects that you're targeting. So try to get more refined with these. And the final one here, when you're creating these questions, equip your sales team with all the information they need and more. So if your sales team says that an SQL is, the region, the person's first name and last name, their phone number, their email, what else do they need? Like, do they want a custom question in there? Do they want to know their job title, like their company name? So if you add some of those other fields, it's going to make the barrier to entry a little bit higher. And with this low friction ad type, you should still get some pretty good results, but hopefully it increases quality. So just some strategies that you can take there. I hope everyone's still alive out there. We're a little over halfway through. Some more B2B tips. So let's talk about click-to-call ads. So very similar to Google's call-only campaigns. This is a great strategy for B2B businesses or for local service businesses. If you're a landscaper or a roofer, your calls to your business are really valuable lead type. I would encourage you to experiment with this ad type. So it can be a risk because you're not getting people to your website. So it's harder to build those audiences and build that brand. And not everyone, like, you're going to get charged if someone clicks on the ad. So not everyone that clicks is going to complete the call. If it's an accidental click, you'll still get charged. It's one of the downsides here. But again, I would encourage you to sort of try the strategy out as an additive strategy to your lead ads if you're a B2B business. If phone calls are really, an important lead type for you, again, and see what gives you the best results. See what gives you the lowest CPA. See what gives you the lowest cost per SQL, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so let's get into business to consumer tips. So how to structure and measure for success. So this is how I found is one of the best ways to structure an e-commerce Facebook ads account for success. So essentially you have your traditional marketing funnel, and then I'm going to break out the strategies that you use in each segment of this funnel. So you have the upper funnel that's filled with your prospecting audiences. So you're using that manual targeting we talked about, the detailed targeting, the demographics, the interest behaviors, to fill that top of your funnel with net new prospects, people that haven't been to your business, they don't know anything about your business. You're just trying to get them in the door. From there, like you have your mid funnel, and that's still prospecting. You're not really trying to convert people yet, And here you're leveraging lookalikes, which we talked about for scale. You're layering over some of that detail targeting to maybe get a little bit more refined, but you still have that scale, and you're trying to push people further down into those remarketing audiences. And then you have the lower funnel. So this is your remarketing campaigns, your dynamic remarketing where you're showing people those products. And this is your highest intent campaign, and you're optimizing those for purchases, unless of course you don't have the volume, in which case you're optimizing for add to carts or other events. Which is one of my tips here. So just further elaborating on that. Again, if you don't have that purchase volume, feel free to optimize for add to cart or for view content or for another event. Again, continue to use exclusions religiously. I really can't harp on that enough. It gives you the cleanest data. It allows you to see what's working and what's not. And one other tip I found is really helpful here is to have a distinct return on ad spend goal for your prospecting campaigns and have a different goal for your marketing campaigns. It's helpful to look at account level ROAS too, but you don't want to look at your prospecting campaign as a failure just because it has like a 0.5 ROAS. You're not making all your money back, or a 0.2 ROAS, or even a 0 ROAS. Like, you should judge your prospecting campaigns on their ability to get people into the bottom of your funnel and from there convert them. So look at your remarketing ROAS primarily, but then look at your prospecting ROAS separately. So have different goals for those different campaign types. All right, more on B2C. So collection ads. So collection ads, super powerful tool for B2C businesses. If you already have your catalog set up for dynamic remarketing, which is what we talked about earlier, you can use this as sort of an additive strategy for both your prospecting and remarketing efforts. So essentially what this is, it's a super immersive format. You can see it on the right here, where basically you're allowed to tell your story. So you can see how Adidas does it here with their top level video where they're telling a compelling story, and they have their product lines below, and it's really interactive, and especially on mobile, you can go in here and swipe and look at different products and blow things up, etc. If you don't have your catalog set up yet, you can use this ad format without a catalog, but I wouldn't recommend it because I would just go ahead and set up the catalog. So it's definitely kind of an upfront lift, but once you have that set up, everything is dynamic. You can create these collection ads, you can create your dynamic remarketing ads, everything is smooth and fluid. So I included a link here on that Facebook created for us, a little resource that shows you how to set up your catalog. Again, depending upon which CMS you're using, it's going to be a different tactic for each one. But generally, I've found that Shopify makes it pretty simple. BigCommerce makes it pretty simple. I feel like WooCommerce, I'm sure, has a plugin that makes it pretty easy. And once you have that set up, again, you can create these ad types pretty simply. And last point here, so you really want to buoy your paid efforts with these collection ads with organic. So I'd also encourage you to create a Facebook shop and create an Instagram shop, which I think dropped a month or so ago. And then configure Instagram shopping so people can go into your organic posts and shop for stuff too. It's just another way of getting people to purchase those products, not just from your ads. If you're curious, we do have a little guide on how to set up Instagram shopping, Instagram shops. I included the link there as well. All right, so carousel ads, and I like to call these the Brock Holt of ad types. If you're a Red Sox fan, Brock Holt is the ultimate utility man. He played second base, third base, shortstop, outfield. Wherever you put him, he was successful. He was versatile. That's what carousel ads are to me in the Facebook game. So carousel ads are essentially, this is a single swipeable ad that you can use for a ton of different purposes, regardless of your vertical, whether you're B2B or B2C. They're good on both desktop and mobile. Again, local service business, retail, doesn't matter. They're really a versatile ad format. Basically, it just allows you to show you multiple pieces of creative, multiple headlines. You can link to different landing pages I would always opt for this over static ad if you have the opportunity. And so you can use it like Target used it here, and they're essentially using the different panels to tell one complete different parts of a single story. Or you can use it like this this food delivery app uses it, where they're essentially they're not linking different landing pages here, but they're highlighting different food items here and trying to get you to install it. You can link to different landing pages, which is, if you're e-commerce and you want to have carousel that links to your like one product, you can do it that way, where you're really highlighting your entire catalog. And this is also a great way, if you're a service business, if you're a landscaper and you want to highlight the different services that your landscaping business offers and link to those different landing pages, or if you're like an SEO agency or marketing agency, again, this carousel ad is perfect for that. Another way to do it, you can leverage a single landing page like Toyota does here, and simply use the different panels to highlight different aspects of the product, different call outs in the copy, features versus benefits, etc. So carousel, again, is a really super versatile and impactful ad type that I feel like every advertiser should use. All right, let's talk about video. So video, people that view video on Facebook, this is a nice stat, are on average almost 2 times as likely to make a purchase than people that didn't use a video. Obviously, we found on Facebook that people click through at a higher rate. Generally, if you're a B2B business, leads are going to be higher quality that come from videos, because you're able to tell your story. People can watch that video, they can see what your product or your service is about, and then convert from there. So they're inherently a little bit lower in the funnel, I think, when they watch videos. The setup process for videos is super easy. It's the same as setting up an image ad. Really, the difficult part for SMBs is actually creating the video, and not everyone has the assets and the time to do this, which is why I would say, if you're not able to do this, don't be discouraged. You can still get great results with static creative. I found that even static can sometimes outperform video. This is why I think, video isn't, a lot of people think you need video nowadays. I think it's more of a nice added strategy. It's a good way to sort of mix up your strategy, but it's definitely not the end all be all. They can be up to 240 minutes long in case you want to write and produce a movie and put it on Facebook. I think it's video ads work best when they're short and sweet. 30 seconds or less. They highlight a portion of your product or service. They get people interested, and they get them to your site, where they're going to do the more important work of filling out your form or converting on your product. So you don't want them to linger in the app forever looking at your video. So I think short and sweet works best. If you can caption the videos, Facebook has found that it increases view time by about 12%. So definitely try to get those captions on there, and Facebook has a tool to help you do that. Site and spec requirements. So there's nothing worse than slating over an ad, sending it live, letting it run for a week, then getting an email from a client or a customer about how half of the image is cut off. Very true. So I would encourage you to get familiar with the size and specs of the various ad types. There are dozens of them, depending on where your placement is. Not only is it going to make your job easier when you're actually uploading the creative, but it's going to streamline workflows for you when you're soliciting that creative from a client or from your in-house designer or from wherever you're getting Facebook creative. And originally, when I made this deck, I had a whole slide on the various ad types and their specs, but I feel like one link does the service just as well. So Facebook has this resource here where you can go and you can toggle between Instagram stories and the audience network and newsfeed and see what the specs are for that specific placement. So you're equipped with all the info that you need to create those ads. So this is a question I get all the time. How much do I spend on Facebook? Yeah, that's gonna do it. So I always encourage people to commit to their return, not to spend, and I'll explain what that means. So I think a minimum of $1,000 a month is sort of the the necessary basement, I guess, of what you want to commit to on Facebook. Just so you're getting enough data to optimize. Anything below that, you're not really getting enough data to mix and match and experiment and see what works. You're not doing yourself a service there. I would commit to 1K. I would give yourself 3 months to optimize before calling it quits. If it's something that you're not seeing is working for you, give yourself that time period to, again, experiment with things and see what works. And I would encourage you to really look at Facebook ads and any advertising channel as an investment, not an expense. So don't look at this as, okay, this is another $1,000 that I can't give to my payroll or allocate to another portion of my business. Like, this is $1,000 that's going to come back in 2 or 3K in purchase revenue, or it's going to come back as 4K in recurring revenue from a sale. So I would look at it as, what can you get from this platform? What can you get from this channel? Not merely as, how much is this going to cost me? Because I feel like that's not a recipe for success. And generally, if you give Facebook the time to work, and if you give it time to sort of tinker and see what works, you will get really good ROI for the platform. All that said, and this is something I mentioned in my last slide, don't sweat a small budget. This is definitely one of the better places for SMBs because you don't have to spend that much on the platform. It's not a Google where you're spending $5 to bid in a keyword because the commercial intent is there, and you're definitely spending less on a cost per lead and on a cost per click basis on Facebook. So it's definitely a good place for SMBs to work their magic. Tip 20 here is, that's actually what I'll talk about here. So when you want to understand what is solid performance or average performance on Facebook, this is a report that we run every year at WordStream. It's our Facebook ads benchmarks, and you can get their full report down at the bottom there. So we have this, we have a huge database of clients from our SaaS business. We also have an in-house agency that manages, a heck of a lot of spend on Facebook, and we pull these benchmarks from those accounts every year, so we can start to see averages. So again, for average CTR on Facebook, you are down around 0.9%. Compare that to a channel like the search network on Google. Obviously, that's pretty low. But again, you're able to put your ad in front of a lot more people, so it tends to come out in the wash. Average cost per click, like I just said, is much lower than you would generally expect on Google Ads. Average conversion rate is a 9.21%. This kind of surprised me. That seemed a little bit high to me. I think if you're an e-commerce business, I would not expect to get a 9% conversion rate. That'd be ridiculous. B2B, I know lead ads can have pretty good success, so maybe that's what's swaying the data there. But I would encourage you to look at this report because these are just high-level metrics. In the report, we break everything down by vertical and by niche. You can see, if you're in the beauty space or if you're in the B2B space, if you're in the health space, what should you expect in these various metrics? So what success looks like, which I feel like is always helpful. So my last point here, when you're talking about measurement and analysis of this campaign or of your Facebook campaigns, don't look at the results from your Facebook advertising in a vacuum. So don't look at your CPA and your traffic and all that, the amount of leads you're getting, and say, that's it, that's all I'm getting. Because Facebook has 100% a flywheel effect on a lot of your other channels. And just some examples of some of the things you could see. So if you take a look, say if you launch a Facebook campaign, take a look at your display or marketing channel. So the ads you're serving on the display network. Is that performing better? Are you getting more volume because more people are coming to your site from your Facebook ads at a cost-efficient clip? Look at your search volume and look in Google Trends. Are people searching for your product and service or your brand for more than they were previously because you're getting that valuable brand awareness and reach on Facebook? Look at your organic sessions. So are people clicking through organically? Is your SEO going up because they're getting that brand awareness? Look at assisted conversions. So not only are you getting those last click conversions in Google, but are there any conversions in analytics where people are clicking through from your Facebook ad to your site, learning about your brand that way, navigating off the site, and then coming back and converting via direct or organic or LinkedIn or whatever. And the final thing is here is offline calls and emails. So, did you launch a campaign, and is your sales team all of a sudden jazzed about getting all these calls and emails where they're, you want to start taking into account some of these other avenues, because the brand awareness and reach that you're going to get on Facebook for a cost-efficient clip is going to be really big. And odds are, these are some of the things that I look for as signs that the advertising is working, not just, is the campaign getting results in the platform in a vacuum. That was a lot. That's all I had for today. I hope that was educational. And I think we're going to open it up to questions here, but if you guys have any questions or if I missed anything that you're curious about, go ahead and put it in the chat, and our moderators will play that back to me, and I'll try to give you the best answer that I have.
Thank you so much, Gordon. You gave us so much to think about. And guys, if you're feeling inspired or maybe even a little overwhelmed and want to talk with one of our experts, I'm about to show a pop-up on your screen for a free digital marketing consultation to see how we can help you with Facebook advertising. So just click yes there and we'll have someone reach out to you. And in the meantime, we'll get into some questions. So we had a lot. We'll just run through a few, and if we don't get to yours here, we'll connect you with someone to get an answer on those. So Gordon, do you have any best practice suggestions for Facebook ads for a restaurant that sells primarily on Uber or DoorDash, where their apps don't allow pixel installs?
Man, that's a good question. That's a great question, actually. I would encourage you to get people to your site first and foremost, and then link out to your DoorDash or to your Uber Eats account from there. That way you can still pixel those people, you can still remarket to them. You can still look at site traffic and not just, it's always a black hole when you're sending people to those third-party apps, right from your ads. But I think if, generally if you're a restaurant, I would definitely encourage you to have those links on your site, whether it's like on your menu or on your home page somewhere, via like an order now button or something. I know it's a super tough time for a lot of restaurants right now. If you're able to get those people to, your website prior to sending them to those third-party apps, you're still going to be able to pixel them. You can still look in analytics and see how people are exiting. So that's a way of also of determining, the value of the campaign. I think I'd encourage people to, send to the website, get familiar with the brand, and from there out to DoorDash.
Awesome. If you run auto placements, can you see the performance by placement and then remove underperforming placements?
If you're in auto placements, can you see? Yes. If you're running automatic placements, you can go in there and see which placements are underperforming, and from there you could switch over to manual and get rid of those. But generally speaking, like, I think you'll find when you start digging into that data that Facebook's algorithm is doing a lot of that pruning for you. So if they're finding that CPA is super high on Instagram, or if they're finding that you're not getting a ton of lead volume on Messenger, like for the cost, like the algorithm isn't just going to spend like, a huge portion of your budget in a placement that's not working. So definitely I would encourage you to check out your placement performance if you're interested in that, but I feel like the algorithm is doing a lot of that work for you.
Awesome. So this is a scenario. So a new client is wanting this person to do email marketing. Should they be doing a Facebook lookalike audience based on the leads and then email marketing?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great strategy. I found that creating lookalikes based on site traffic and some of those other good things we talked about, page engagement, et cetera, is good. When you're uploading a customer list, I feel like the results can definitely be pretty good. So I'd encourage you to use those lists as much as you can. and not just like, sounds like that's a B2B business, but I wouldn't just use your top level lead list. I would dig into your highest leads, so like your tier 1s and 2s and your SQLs and the people that have actually become customers, depending on what you sell. I would encourage you to use those lists as well, because that's really going to allow the lookalike to target people most accurately, and the people that have the best chance of purchasing or of filling out a form. And then if you can follow that up with an email campaign like you talked about, I think that's definitely a good strategy.
Awesome. This is another question that's kind of a scenario. So for a company that's just starting to build its Facebook page, do you think they should advertise to get people to like their page?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad strategy at all. I mean, if you're just getting up there, I would be interested to see or to learn more about the business. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of SMBs, when they're first getting up on Facebook, they want the results right away, or they want the leads or the revenue right away, which they should, because it's their discretionary spend, and they might not have a ton of it, and they're spending it on a new platform, and they want to see results right away. But if you have that mindset of like, I'm just going to build brand awareness, and that's how I'm going to start this advertising journey, then I think just going for page likes and going for some of those other upper funnel metrics is a totally fine way to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's about all the time we have for questions. Thank you everyone for joining. This recording and the deck will be sent out to you in the next 24 to 48 hours, and we hope that you guys have a great day. Thank you.